Sometimes the justice system doesn't feel just. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. That was the case for one Missouri man who said despite turning his life around, he faced a decade or more in prison. The crime, a nearly 4-year-old probation violation.
It's an example of sentencing that advocates say can put reformed ex-cons where they don't belong, back behind bars.
Reporter Kristen Crowley follows his story and the questions it creates about the justification of justice.
Most days you'll find Michael Enriquez in one of two places.
Now back, put your DOT bar back there.
At work or out with his kids.
My daughter, sports. So I help coach her sports teams, soccer, basketball, baseball.
But on this day, he's terrified about the place he could be heading.
I wish there was an alternative to me being sent to prison where I can continue with my life, continue to be a dad, continue to be someone in the community.
This story isn't a matter of guilt or innocence. Michael will be the first to admit he broke the law. A lot.
What kind of trouble did you get in with the law?
At 18, I had caught a majority of my felonies in a 3-month span.
Drugs, theft, DUI, weapons charges, all crimes he served time for. In 2020, he violated his supervised release after he was caught with drugs, and back to prison he went. It was a relief to his former father-in-law, Kevin Miller, who thought Michael was nothing but trouble.
I can say I hated him. I absolutely hated him. And I told my wife several times, I'm like, I just hope somebody sticks him when he's in there.
Your father-in-law also was not your biggest fan initially.
No, definitely no.
He's come around.
Oh, yes.
From his biggest critic to one of his biggest advocates, Kevin says Michael turned his life around.
He became a Christian and really started walking the walk.
I've been doing the right thing ever since.
Are you a reformed man?
Yes, I am.
Reformed and resolute, he says, to do good. That job we told you about, he helps mentor former criminals like himself to get their commercial driver's license and stay out of the system.
Right there's good.
Michael's had no legal trouble since he got out of prison in 2021.
And we were pulling up to the office, and then I seen the lights come on. I'm like, they're here.
They were the U.S. Marshals. When Michael went back to prison for violating his release in 2020, prosecutors never charged him with the drug offense until nearly 4 years later. The potential sentence?
10 years or more is what it's looking like.
You'd miss the rest of your 10-year-old daughter's childhood.
Oh, yes. Yes, and then that's a big one there. It's gut-wrenching to think about that.
It's not justice for anyone. I mean, it's not for me, it's not for his family, it's not for society.
Michael's ex-wife, Ashley, can't understand why prosecutors waited.
If someone is that big of a threat to society and they need to be jailed, then why wait this long to do it? Why wait till after they've rebuilt their life to take it all away?
State prosecutors declined to comment on Michael's case.
So I was in the Eastern District.
So we went to former Missouri State Prosecutor and former U.S. Attorney John Davis.
Are you surprised that they would pursue the charges and not just let it go?
Not at all.
You're just surprised they didn't bring him earlier?
Correct.
Davis says while legally the state's well within its rights to charge Michael, ethically, it's another story.
Why it took 3 years and 3 months is beyond me, but it's just not right. Justice delayed is justice denied, right?
And advocates for sentencing reform say that injustice is not unique.
This is happening far more than it should and far more often than we're even aware of.
Erin Haney is the Deputy Chief of Advocacy at the nonprofit Reform Alliance. She says while Michael's story is one she hasn't heard before, it's similar to multiple other cases across the nation, where states tried to put reformed people back behind bars because they didn't serve their full sentence due to clerical errors.
To go back and reincarcerate them years later, once they've rebuilt their lives, seems not only like it's unfair to that person, but it's a disservice overall.
So right now, the way our system is set up, do you think it's set up more to focus on punishment than justice?
Absolutely. When we think about what justice is, what public safety demands, we don't achieve either of those through incarcerating him at this point.
What would you say to the people who will argue, well, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime?
I think that you can hold someone accountable, even if it's for something that they've done quite a long time ago, without pulling them out of their family, out of a stable job, out of their community to incarcerate them when they've now become a different person.
On the day of our interview, Michael decided to plead guilty to the drug charge.
How are you feeling?
I'm nervous, but I'm not fearful. I'm nervous, but I'm not fearful. I understand that it'll all work out. It'll all work out.
Hoping a judge would show mercy at sentencing. Our cameras were not allowed inside the federal courthouse, but after his plea, Michael sat in jail for roughly 4 months, waiting for his punishment. Finally, on the day of sentencing,
All right!
Michael walked out a free man and walked back into his children's lives. The judge gave him probation, calling Michael's transformation extraordinary and unique.
I think it's a just decision, and I'm not going to let him down.
It's a vow not just to the courts, but to his friends, his family, and to others who are reformed.
There has to be others out there like myself, and they need a voice. They need a voice because there's others out there that have changed their lives. It may be few, but they're out there.
The Reform Alliance says it's working on getting bipartisan legislation passed called the Federal Safer Supervision Act. It would focus more on rehabilitation and reintegration instead of just punishment for a low-risk offender.